Hello guys, this is Nikhil Roby Coleman, and I'm here at Tempo Finance. And on this channel, we teach you guys how to get rid of debt and how to build true wealth. Now, on this channel today, we will be discussing a client that we have that has a student loan debt of $61,000, and we're going to discuss how to use a personal line of credit to get rid of that debt. So let's get into the video. Now, this client is a graduate at a particular university, and this client had to use student loan debt to get through college. So they had no knowledge of a personal line of credit, didn't have no idea what it was or anything like that. So this client got in contact with me, and we went over his situation, did a whole personal assessment, and then we attacked this $61,000 debt. Now, moving forward, to get moving into this case study, my client had income of $9,000. So he has a good paying job. Now that he's graduated in his field of work. Now he has a job working in that field. So his income is $9,000 a month. His expenses is $5,000 a month, and he has a healthy cash flow of $4,000. Because if his cash flow is healthy, we can move forward to the next step. So let's look at his situation. So he after he graduated, he was stuck with a $61,000 student loan debt, and it was at a 6% interest rate. And the term of the loan was a 10-year term, and his monthly payment on that loan was $677.23. So we discussed. He went into his local credit union. He got accepted for a $20,000 line of credit, personal line of credit, a PLOC, of a 15% interest rate. Do not let the 15% interest rate scare you. So let's get into how we broke down, or how I broke down the whole situation to lead to his success in getting rid of this debt. The first thing we want to do is find what is the highest interest monthly payment that we can possibly pay for this $20,000 line of credit at a 15% interest rate. What does that payment look like at the highest amount? So what we do is we get $20,000, right? Multiply that by 15%, right? And then after we multiply that by 15%, we divide that by 365 and then multiply by 30. So this is the number that we get from that is highest interest will be $246.57. This is the highest payment that we will pay dealing with a $20,000 line of credit. So I'd like to go ahead and give you guys the ending before we even start with the process of how we're going to deal with the personal line of credit. So secondly, moving forward, we want to find out the payoff. What is the payoff looking like dealing with this $61,000 debt, already knowing the income and expenses? So with that being said, what we do is we do the debt, right? We do debt divided by the cash flow, pretty much. But it's an equation to it. So we do 61K and then in parentheses we put 4,000 minus. I'm sorry guys, I skipped a step. Next, what we do is we find the average interest payment. We find the average interest payment, which is the next important step to this process. I'm sorry, I skipped a step on you. So what we do is we find the average interest. So the average interest is $123.28, right? This is that is the average interest. The average interest is this number divided by 2, which gives you the average interest. Now we want to find the payoff, right? We want to find the payoff. So the payoff, how we find the payoff is we do 61,000, which is a formula, divided by, in parentheses, we do 4,000 minus the average interest, which is 123.28, right? Then so we do. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So we bring 61K down, and then we come up with 38.76.72. We divide 61,000 by 38.76.72, and we get 15.73. So the 15.73 represents the months. So it'll take 15.73 months to get rid of a $61,000 student loan using a $20,000 personal line of credit at a 15% interest rate. So that's the landscape of what we're looking at. So now we want to know how much interest are we going to pay? How much interest are we going to pay with using the personal line of credit compared to using the amortized schedule with the student loan that my client initially signed in the very beginning of his situation being in college. So what we do is we get 15.73, which is the total months that we will be, the total months of payoff. And then we multiply that by the average interest, which is $123.28. And we get $1,939.19, which is the total interest. That's the total interest of using a personal line of credit, a $20,000 personal line of credit at 15%. This is the cost of using that. The cost of using that $20,000 personal line of credit is $1,939.19 to pay off a $61,000 debt. Now, if he was to use the amortized schedule and not use a personal line of credit, this is what he'll be looking at as far as paying in interest, of what interest will be costing him. And I'm gonna let you be the judge. My marker is going out. Bear with me. Marker is going out. I'm back. So we paying $20,267 if he just stick with amortized schedule. So if he stick with the amortized schedule, he'll be paying $20,000 and $20,267 if he sticks with the amortized schedule to pay off his $61,000 student loan debt on the amortized schedule. That's what he'll be paying. With a personal line of credit, you'll be paying basically almost $2,000. So I did the difference between I did a difference between those numbers. So for this client, I saved him a whopping $18,327.81. So I like that to be, I want, you know, my audience to look at that with their own eyes. So I saved my client $18,327.81 when you do the difference between those. So I put $18,000 back into my client's pocket for using a $20,000 personal line of credit instead of going all the way through with the amortized schedule for the student loan. Now that is very important. That is very key. Um, now I have given you all the important tools that I needed to give you um, before we even get into the meat and potatoes of how the process of how we're going to of how we use this personal line of credit. So you have all the I would say the correct you have all the correct um, information in order to move forward to see what your ending look like before you even begin. That's what I like doing with my clients. I like going ahead and showing them their picture before they even get into the process. Because when you look at this picture, it's so encouraging. So with that being said, you have, right? Well, I keep using my dark marker. Sorry guys, I don't know why I keep using that. We'll move to the blue. We like that. We want to use that, right? We want that. We don't want that. This, that's a no-no. We want that. We don't want to pay extra $20,000 in interest, right? We'll take paying basically almost $2,000 in interest for the cost of using a personal line of credit rather than the cost of $20,000 using an amortized schedule. So imagine, just imagine putting $18,000 back in your pocket. That's what I do with my client. The proof is in the pudding. I don't got to sit here and keep harping on it. And it ain't nothing. It ain't that I'm bragging or anything like that. It's just the proof is in the pudding, guys. Like I do this, you know. I do this in real life, and this ain't no fake. This ain't fake. I know it feels fake. I know it doesn't feel right, but this is real. I'm doing it right in front of your face. I put $18,000 back in my client's pocket. Come on, let's go. Now he can go do whatever he want to do with that money. It's on him. So now I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes, right? Of how we do this, right? How we do this right here, basically. How we do this. How we get that done. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make all that come to life now. So with that being said, this is how we make that come to life. So we have a $20,000 line of credit, right? We got the $20,000 line of credit. So what we do is we make a phone call to whoever the student loan people, whatever company that you use, or the school or the bank, whoever you use to get your student loan from. We call those folks and we say we want to put a $20,000. We want to put $20,000 towards the principal of our student loan. So we're gonna put $20,000 towards the principal, which is the first phase, right? We'll put $20,000 towards that, and y'all help me do some math. Oh no, you ain't gotta do all of that. You ain't gotta do all that. Just bring that down, and then boom. Now we have 40. We have 41K. So let's get to the first phase, which is the most exciting part. the most exciting part that I love. So we're gonna get to phase one. So the phase one, we're gonna see how long it takes to go after we put the $20,000 on to our debt. Now we're gonna see how long does it take to pay off that $20,000 within the personal line of credit to go back again to make another chunk payment. So this is a chunking method to make another chunk payment. Let's see. Let's do it. So we done made the chunk payment of $20,000. Now we get our money, we get our income for month number one, and we put it in. We cooking. Now we put that in. So income in, right? Now expenses out. Remember, income reduces the balance. And then when we pay our expenses, it raises the balance back up, but it don't go back up to its original spot. It just go back up a little bit more, but it don't go back to its original spot. So pay attention. Pay attention. Take heed. So now we pay for our expenses, which is 5,000. So expenses out. I always think income in, expenses out, income in, expenses out. So that brings us up to $16,000, right? So now we do the interest. Remember, the interest is already included when you put your income in. I show interest, the cost of the interest payment for that month only for video purposes. So now we do that. So the interest is $166.43, right? For the first month. Simple. We add that together, which gives us 16,166.43. Now we come into month number two, right? We entering month number two. Coming into month number two, we do the same thing. We put income in 9,000. We subtract that. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. It's repetitious. If you notice and you're paying attention, it's just repetitious, right? So put the 9,000 in. So now that brings the balance down. 7,166.43, right? Let me write that number better because I don't want to confuse my audience. 4, 3. Okay, I'm gonna bend down a little bit, so don't laugh at me. So now we gotta pay for our expenses. Pay for our expenses, which is 5,000. I'm gonna come up here. So stick with me. So now we're at 12. We're at 12,000. We're at 12. Yeah, we're at 12,166.43. Boom, 12,166.43. Now that's expenses. That's expenses for month number two. Now we're gonna calculate the interest for month number two. So the interest for month number two is $119. $119.17. That's the interest for month number two, right? Stay with me. Stay locked in. So we add that together. That brings us to 12, right? 12 to 85, 60, right? So that's month number two. So after 2 months, we done already knocked down basically $8,000 in 2 months. So I'm letting you. It's showing you how fast this thing's move. How fast we are paying off this $20,000 to go back to get another chunk. So let's keep going. Going into month number three, again, income in, right? Income in, right? Brings it down to 3. 3 to 85. 3 to 85, 60. 3 to 85, 60. Right? So now we put our expenses in. So put expenses in. So that brings the value up. Right? So if you notice, the expenses go back up, but it's not going back up to its original state, though. It's not going back up to where it came from. It's just going back up. You see what I'm saying? So when after you pay your bills, the expenses go back up, but it don't go back all the way up to all the way past here or whatever like that. It just goes up because that's the function. Remember, this is the function of a line of credit. So don't worry about it going up. Your bills are getting paid. Everything is happening through the line of credit. Okay, so now we're going to calculate the interest for month number 3. So for month number 3, the interest is $71.32. That's your interest for month number 3. We're going to add that together, which gives us 83.56.92. So coming into month number 4. Look how beautiful this is. I know y'all saying in y'all head, like, how is he doing it this fast? Like, how in 4 months is he getting this done? That's impossible, right? I know you telling yourself that, like, that's impossible, but it's real. This is real. In 4 months, my client just paid off $20,000 in 4 months using a personal line of credit. No amortized schedule. I'm telling you, this is a beast. Listen to me. Now, coming to month number 4, we already make $9,000 a month. So for month number 4, we make $9,000, but we only got to pay 83. So we're going to pay the 83.56.92 coming into month number 4, which put us at 0. So now, do you see the power, right? This is the power of a personal line of credit. In 4 months, we just paid off $20,000. So what does that tell you? So what does that tell you is every 4 months, we make a $20,000 chunk payment towards the principal of the debt, the student loan debt, until it hits 0. Mind you, we don't stop paying. When we're making these chunk payments, we don't stop paying our $677.23. We don't stop paying the payment on the student loan while we get this thing done. We're paying the monthly bill for our student loan throughout the whole process of doing all of this stuff. We're still paying for it, right? We're still paying for it regardless of making the chunk payments, right? That is because that's what we have to do. It ain't like just because we put a chunk payment towards the principal, right? That don't mean that we stop paying the monthly payment. No, we stop paying that once we hit 0 as far as the whole balance of the student loan debt is at 0. It's completely done. It's fulfilled. So we make a chunk payment every 4 months for the $61,000 student loan. So now look at this. So 61,000, right? We made a chunk payment of 20,000 in the first phase. So that brought us at 41. It brought us at 41,000. Now, after 4 months, we're going to make another one. After 4 months, we make another one. So now that brings us to 21,000. Right? That brings us to 21,000. After the second phase, 4 months later, we make another chunk. We make another we make another chunk, payment, right? And then after another 4 months, or we might not even have to wait another 4 months because we only owe $1,000 payment. So then we just pay the 1,000. So every 4 months we're paying chunk payments to the student loan company, right? And we put in a $20,000 chunk payment towards the principal, right? I don't want to get it confused. Sorry. We pay it towards the principal of the student loan debt. So that is why the personal line of credit is so amazing. So now we come over here, right? Check this box, right? Again, I leave room for error. That's why it's 15.73 months. But if you look right here, it's 4, 8, right? Right? It's 4, 8, 12. And then we don't have to wait a full 4 months to pay $1,000. We don't have to wait a full 4 months to pay $1,000. We don't have to do that. But I put 4 anyways, just for room for error, guys. Room for error. So that could be 4 times 4, 16. But the accurate number is 15.73, which is 15 months, 15.73 months. And if you want to, make that into years, it's basically a year and like 4 months to round up. So when we was technically on the 10-year term, and you did it in a year and 4 months, 15 months, you got it done. $61,000 gone. Don't have to worry about it for the rest of your life because you went and got a personal line of credit. This is what my client has done. And in the process of it, my client saved $18,000 in the process of it. And let me give you the cherry on top. The cherry on top is this debt, that payment, that student loan payment is no longer a liability to you. So you just turn a liability into cash flow. Beautiful, right? So this right here, that's 677.23, is subtracted from your expenses. So you're gonna subtract 677.23, and you're gonna add it to your cash flow. Your cash flow just went up. $677.23, and your expenses went down $677.23, which is what we want. We want to minimize as many expenses as possible. If our expenses in the perfect world, our expenses can be zero, we will want it to be zero, and we want our income to be high as possible, which makes our cash flow high as possible. We do not want a lot of expenses. So, but we live in a world where we'll never be able to live with zero expenses because we got to pay a light bill and water bill and all that, groceries, blah, 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 right? We got to pay all those type of things. So, but if we could, in a perfect world, we would like for our expenses to be zero, just speaking. But in this case, because we know that we're going to have to pay some expenses, we just want our expenses low as possible, as low as they can possibly be, right? So let's do a little math. Let's see where our cash flow is now that we done got rid of this $61,000 uh, debt, right? Let's see where our cash flow is now. Bear with me 1 second. So we do well. In this case, we know what the cash flow is now. We can do this with it's 4,000. Just add 677, 23. That's simple. Let's see how much it decreased. We know it decreased by 677, but let's get the actual number. So now your cash flow is not forced 5,000 anymore. Your new cash flow, your expenses is not 5,000 anymore. Your new expense is $4,322.77. So that is your new expenses, which it went down. So that's good, right? So let's look at the major highlights of this situation. The major highlights out of this situation is your expenses went down. That's a plus. That's what we want. Your cash flow went up. That's a plus. That's what we want. You saved $18,327.81. That's a plus. You escaped the amortized schedule because we don't do amortized schedule. You was going to pay $20,000 in interest, but no, we're paying only $1,900 in total interest, which is the cost of using a $20,000 personal line of credit. That's a plus. So we have one, two, three, four pluses, right? Right? And the other big thing is every 4 months we make a chunk payment every 4 months, which we know what our time of payoff is. Our time of payoff was 15.73 months, right? Which is a year in about 4 to 5 months. I want to talk about the average daily balance, right? Now, I want you to remember the way that we get the interest, the way that we get this interest payment. For example, to get this interest, to get this number, we take this number and this number, right? We take those two numbers, we divide them. We take those two numbers, we add them together. Then we divide them by 2. After we divide it by 2, we multiply it by the 15% interest rate, right? After we divide it by multiply it by the 15% interest rate, after that, then we divide it by 365 because it's 365 days in a year, and then we multiply it by 30 because it's 30 days in a month to get your monthly payment for this, to get this number. So this is how we got that number. Same thing with month number 2. For month number 2, we take this number, right? And then we take this number, add them together, divide them by 2, and do the process back over. Month number 3, the way that we get this number, right, is I get this number, and then I take this number, add them together, divide them by 2, multiply it by 15%, divide it by 365, and multiply that by 30. This is how I get that number. And then we just keep going on, and then we restart the process, make another chunk payment, and start from square one again, right? So guys, this is a winning strategy. We came up with a strategy, me and my client came up with a strategy. We got it done. We executed. My football coach used to always tell me, execution fuels emotion. That's a true story. It's nothing like executing a plan and the plan getting done to the T. It's nothing like attacking something that's been harnessing and something that's been burdening you for a long time, and now you have a plan, you have a weapon that will attack it, right? And you have a process to it. It's nothing like it, guys. So, guys, look at this video, be encouraged by this video. If you have any questions, go to my website, www.tempofinances.org or tempofinance.org. I'm available. You can sign up, do an appointment through my website, or you can call me directly. It's your choice. But let's be encouraged. Let's wrap our hands around our situation, right? Take hold of it and acquire true financial freedom. Let's acquire it. Let's put money back into your pockets, right? Let's do what you are really set to do on this earth, and that's really to dominate. You're not here to be inferior. You're here to be superior. You're not here to be the footstool for people. You are here to be the king of your domain. It's that simple, right? And this is how you get to it. You use the necessary tools, the necessary weapons for you to be successful, right? If you live in paycheck to paycheck, if you struggling trying to make ends meet, if you're struggling trying to get things done, come here for the answers to be provided to you. We are here. We're not hiding. We are available. Give us a call. We love you guys. I'm here for the people. This is my purpose. And I want to get this message out because this is for everybody. This is not for a specific type of person. This is not for any, this is not for just a certain amount of people. This is for everybody. This is available to everybody, right? So, guys, let's lock in. Let's be encouraged. Be happy. There's a lot of people in this situation that's behind me. It's a lot of people in this situation that's behind me and don't know what to do to get out of this situation. And that's why I'm here. So, let's do it, guys. Let's come together and let's do it. Let me help you guys. Let us come together and come up with a plan to get this done. I'm so encouraged to know that I can help people around the world. I serve America. I don't care if you in Hawaii. I don't care if you in Alaska. I don't care if you're in California, Washington. I don't care if you're in Idaho or Montana. I can help you. We can get it done together. So let's do it, guys. Let's do it. I'm here. If there's anything in the comments that you have questions about, ask me questions. Ask me questions. If you have any question about anything pertaining to this type of stuff, HELOCs, PLOCs, BLOCs, anything, credit score, whatever. If you have any questions, put it in the comments below. Put it down in the comments below. Subscribe to this channel. Like these videos, right? Get this stuff out. Let it catch the algorithm. We need it, guys. I'm telling you, we need it. So with that being said, I'm going to see you guys on the next video.